Coming up on this Monday edition of Daybreak, Korea is expected to southwardly expand its air defense identification zone. In response to China's controversial new airspace policy, Korea's new zone will include a handful of outlying islands. The ruling Saenuri Party plans to unilaterally put next year's budget bill to the Parliamentary Budget Committee on Monday, a step that is almost certain to worsen the bipartisan feud at the National Assembly. Plus, the Japanese yen now stands at over 100 yen to the US dollar and is expected to further weaken to 110 in a year's time, placing an increasingly heavy strain on Korean exporters. Daybreak begins now.
Thanks for joining us. This is Daybreak on Monday, December 2nd. Live from Seoul, I'm Kim Hyun-ji. Korea is putting the final touches on expanding its own air defense zone to cover more of the country's outlying islands. The new plans, likely to be announced Tuesday, are in response to China's recent establishment of an air defense zone in the East China Sea. Connie Lee starts us off.
Plans to redraw Korea's air defense identification zone, or the KLeague, could be finalized by Tuesday. The move comes after Sunday's national security policy meeting of government officials and ruling party lawmakers on the redrawing of China's new air defense zone and the expansion of Korea's own airspace in the East China Sea. Government officials declined to reveal what was discussed during the meeting led by National Security Advisor Kim Jong-soo, but they said progress was made. Korea is now considering expanding the KLeague further south to not only cover Yeodo, which is covered by China and Japan's defense zones, but also the southern islands of Manado and Hongdo. Korea has already asked China to redraw its air defense zone, but its request was turned down flat. China's newly declared airspace is seen as an attempt to make stronger claims over disputed islands in the East China Sea known as Senkaku in Japan and Diaoyu in China. Meanwhile, the Korean government has told the nation's airlines to ignore China's call to submit flight plans to fly over the East China Sea. Despite China's demand that all flights be reported, Korea's transportation ministry says Korean airlines do not have to comply. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
U.S. Vice President Joe Biden is set to arrive in Tokyo later this Monday on the first stage of his week-long trip to Asia, where he will meet with the leaders of Japan, China, and Korea. Officials say Biden is expected to show Washington's determination to be a Pacific power, although it has been preoccupied with troubles in the Middle East and domestic distractions. Biden's trip also comes amid heightened tensions over Beijing's controversial new air defense zone. Senior U.S. officials say Biden will directly address the issue and seek to lower tensions when he meets with Chinese President Xi Jinping later this week. The deadline to finalize next year's budget bill is this Monday, but the chance of it being sorted out anytime soon looks slim to none. The National Assembly remains deadlocked over a number of contentious issues between the ruling and main opposition parties. Our Park Ji-won reports.
According to the nation's constitution, a budget bill for next year has to be passed 30 days before the start of the fiscal year. This year's deadline is this Monday. However, there's little chance of the budget being passed on Monday, as it has not even been introduced to the Budget Settlement Committee yet. In an attempt to get the ball moving, the ruling Saenuri Party decided on Sunday that the party will unilaterally propose the budget bill to the Budget Committee on Monday. The party said it was not appropriate that Parliament has not even started deliberating the bill when final voting should have been done. The party called for cooperation from the opposition in order to pass the bill as soon as possible. The main opposition Democratic Party has criticized the ruling party's unilateral approach to the bill, saying the ruling party only focuses on political manipulation instead of communication and negotiation. The DP pledged last week to boycott all the plenary sessions at the National Assembly after the Saenuri Party unilaterally passed a confirmation bill for the head of the state auditor. The opposition party convened a separate deliberation meeting on their own over the weekend to look into the budget bill. If the National Assembly fails to pass the bill by the end of the year, the government will be forced to put together a provisional budget. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok has urged the main opposition Democratic Party to return to Parliament and begin deliberating on next year's budget bill. Speaking to reporters on Sunday, Hyun said the months-long political impasse at the National Assembly was putting a strain on the economy and has stalled the passage of livelihood bills. The Democratic Party is boycotting parliamentary activities in protest of the ruling Saenuri Party's refusal to agree to an independent investigation into the spy agency's alleged meddling in last year's presidential election, as well as President Park's controversial appointments in recent weeks. The finance minister said the nation will lose 650,000 jobs if the National Assembly fails to pass the budget bill before the end of the year. Family members of the elderly American who has been held captive in North Korea for over a month say he remains in good health. In a statement released over the weekend, Merrill Newman's family said the Swedish ambassador to North Korea, who visited the 85-year-old Korean War veteran on Saturday, informed them that he's being treated well and receiving regular medical checkups. The family statement came hours after North Korean state media released a video showing Newman reading an apology for alleged crimes during the Korean War and quote-unquote hostile acts against Pyongyang during his recent trip. Newman has been detained since October 26th when he was removed from a plane set to leave Pyongyang after completing a 10-day tour. The weakening Japanese yen is placing an increasing strain on Korean exporters as they continue to lose competitiveness against their Japanese counterparts. The yen now stands at over 100 yen to the US dollar, and industry sources on Sunday forecast it will weaken to 110 in a year's time. The auto industry is being hit hardest by the weakened yen, while Toyota and Honda saw their sales to the U.S. increase by over 8% during the first 10 months of this year. Hyundai Motor and Kia Motors saw sales drop nearly 1% over the same period. The steel industry has also expressed concerns its Japanese rivals may start to nibble into Korea's major export markets in Southeast Asia by offering lower prices.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiation.
President Park Geun-hye planned, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a.
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday.
Thanks for staying with us. Several people are believed to have died and scores injured during anti-government protests in Thailand's capital, Bangkok. The leader of the protests met with Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra on Sunday and gave her 2 days to return power to the people. Kim Min-ji reports.
Police in Thailand struggled to fight off protesters as anti-government demonstrations intensified over the weekend, with thousands of protesters swarming a state broadcaster and a police compound. Police fired tear gas and water cannons in fierce skirmishes with protesters.
We have ordered more police squads to enter government buildings and the finance building. They will arrive soon.
About 30,000 protesters had gathered at major sites, including Government House and the police headquarters, in efforts to unseat Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. The protesters accused the Prime Minister of being a puppet for her brother and former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who was ousted in a coup in 2006. The leader of the protest called on government employees to go on a general strike Monday.
I declare Monday as a national holiday for all government employees for the resignation of the government.
At least 4 people were killed and scores wounded in clashes between protesters and supporters of the current administration throughout Saturday night.
The red shirt vehicle came over to our side first, so we burnt T-shirts with the Taksin's face on it.
The current government was set up through elections. It's not a military regime. I don't understand the anti-government protesters.
Protest leader Suthep Thuksaban on Sunday met with Shinawat and gave her an ultimatum of 2 days to return power to the people. He said there was no room for negotiations, but did not elaborate on what action would follow if the request was not accepted. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
In another news, 4 people have been killed and at least 63 injured after a passenger train derailed Sunday in the Bronx area of New York City. A spokesman for the city fire department says 11 people were in critical condition, 6 were in serious condition with non-life-threatening injuries, and another 46 sustained minor injuries. The train derailed on a large curved section of track in the early hours of Sunday morning local time, about 100 yards or 91 meters north of a metro station in the Bronx. Investigations are ongoing, but at least one eyewitness said the train was traveling much faster than normal at the time of the derailment. Well, privacy is a precious commodity these days amid ongoing allegations of a massive spying programs conducted across the globe. But you might not need to live off the grid just yet. A local Korean company is developing technology that fights back against this form of illegal wiretapping and other types of secret surveillance. Paul Lee has the details.
Internet phone systems these days can be easily tapped by using pre-installed software. Despite its high-tech standards, this voice-over IP communication remains at risk of hacking. However, adding this security equipment to the phone connection allows you to intercept any wiretapping attempts. The technology works by constantly changing the IP address of the internet connection and encrypting your speech, leaving only distorted noise for unwanted listeners. The Korean firm EMS, which specializes in security technology, has also developed devices that block hackers from accessing precious data on your computer.
All outgoing data is being encrypted, and all internet networks are being rerouted. Even if the network is hacked, the compromised data will remain encrypted. This provides the ability to safely make calls and securely transmit data.
Analysts say this field of privacy protection will soon expand to mainstream consumers, rather than being a niche market reserved for the military and big governments. Public demand for such devices has been growing, as reports emerge that even heads of state are not immune to snooping eyes and ears. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
Foreign automakers have expanded their presence here in Korea, but they have received relatively low marks for their after-sales service. And that's put domestic car makers on alert, and they are trying to hold on to their share of the market by maintaining an edge in customer service. Son Jang-in reports.
This auto mechanic is trying to fix a noise problem on a customer's car at a Hyundai Kia Motors service center in southern Seoul. He analyzes the problem by comparing the sounds coming from the engine and the sounds at the driver's seat, as abnormal vibrations are directly related to the din in the car. When faced with a more complicated breakdown, he asks for advice from other experts through a video teleconference. This kind of after-sales service is just one example of the efforts that local car manufacturers are making to compete in an auto market in which foreign cars are increasingly becoming a hot commodity. Domestic automakers have seen their sales shrink in recent years, while foreign automakers saw their share of the market rise to 12% this year. Hyundai Kia Motors is one of the companies determined to outperform foreign car makers with first-class after-sales service designed to top the competition. The car maker has 2,200 car service centers nationwide and a strong workforce of master mechanics who account for 26% of all certified engineers nationwide.
We're trying to enhance the quality of our service with noise, vibration, and harshness centers nationwide and a national network of mechanics. We also provide relatively superior services with standardized facilities and maintenance techniques.
Foreign car makers are also trying to improve their maintenance systems and overcome a less than stellar customer service record. For instance, BMW Korea plans to double its labor force in the years to come to boost customer service.
We currently have 49 service centers and we plan to expand that to 75 by the year 2016. We also have 39 nationally certified engineers.
As the competition between domestic and imported car makers intensifies, the benefit to the consumer is clear. Better service all around. 손정인, Arirang News.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off in the KLeague Classic. Now with the season's last matches being played on Sunday, FC Seoul and Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors drew 1-1 with Incheon United sneaking past the Suwon Samsung Blue Wings 2-1. So with that said, we go over to the big matchup here. Pohang Steelers and Ulsan Hyundai Tigers facing off for the league title. Now Ulsan needing a draw or a win to take the title, with Pohang needing a win. So with that said, let's take a look at the highlights. Of course, going into the game here, first half of the match, Kim Tae-soo looking very aggressive for Pohang. Takes several shots on goal, but to no avail. Pohang pushing forward the entire game, with Ulsan staying back to defend, playing for the draw. Now we go over to the second half of the match with both teams still tied 0-0. Pohang keeps trying to score, but nothing happening, and it looks like Ulsan is going to get the draw. But check this out, 90 plus 4 minutes. Here is Kim Won-in, and holy cow, he did it! A miraculous injury time goal, and Pohang takes the match and wins their 5th league title. And with that said, staying in football, but over in Germany's Bundesliga, where Son Heung-min continues to find the back of the net, as he added 2 more goals to his season's tally over the weekend. After an embarrassing 5-0 loss to Manchester United during their Champions League match, Bayer Leverkusen comes back strong over the weekend against Nuremberg, as Son Heung-min sends one past the goalkeeper in the 36th minute for his 5th goal of the season. But he wasn't done yet. In the second half of the match, up 2-0, Son Heung-min does it again. A 76-minute goal, his 2nd goal of the match, and his 6th goal of the season, as he helps Bayer Leverkusen cruise through 3-0. And moving on to some Sunday's KBL action, as the LG Sakers absolutely crushed KCC Aegis 81-59. And with 2 other games taking place as well, let's start off with the Seoul SK Knights taking on KT Sonic Boom. Of course, going into the game here, first quarter of the game, Ira Clark leading the way with 10 points in the quarter, as KT takes a 26-17 first quarter lead. Second quarter, Aaron Haynes answers with 13 points in the quarter, as SK Knights cuts the deficit to 48-44 going into halftime. For the second half of the game, Cho Sang-min tearing it up, score 11 points in the 3rd quarter, and finishes the game with 34 points in the game, helping KT Sonic Boom cruise through 95-80, your final score. And next up, Anyang KGC taking on Incheon Itilan Elephants. First quarter, KGC off to a great start as they take a 22-17 lead. Second quarter, Mark Queen Chandler lights it up with 14 points in the quarter, but Ricardo Pau answers back with 14 points of his own, as Incheon rallies back to take a 41-40 lead going into halftime. Third quarter of the game, 7 different Incheon players scoring in the quarter, and they never look back in this game, as Incheon takes this game 84-78. And now moving over to the VLeague, where the IBK Altos easily beat out Daejeon KGC 3-0 over on the women's side, with Uricard beating the winless Russian Cash Vespid in an exciting 5-side game over on the men's side. Meanwhile, 2 rivals went at it again, as Hyundai Capital Skywalkers took on Samsung Hwajae Blue Fangs. Of course, taking a look at the highlights here. First set, Liberman Algomez going absolutely insane, scoring 15 attack points just in the first set as Hyundai Capital takes the first set 25-23. Second set, Hyundai Capital continues to penetrate Samsung's strong blocking game, taking the second set as well, 25-21, before Samsung forces a fourth set here with a 27-25 win in the third set. Now, despite Leo Martinez putting up 34 attack points, Liberman Algomez finishes with 42 points as Hyundai Capital takes this game 3-1. And now finishing things off on the ice after Lee Sang-hwa won her 6th consecutive gold medal in the women's 500-meter event during the third round of the 2013 Speed Skating World Cup. Mo Tae-bum over on the men's side finished second with a time of 34.87 seconds to win a silver medal, his third silver this season. So congratulations to him, and that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Happy Monday morning to you. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Weather was definitely nice, sunny and mild, so I hope you got to take an advantage of it. Well, it's December, and December officially marks the beginning of meteorological winter. But after all the cold snap we had last week, the weather for today will feel more like late fall across much of the country. While some regions might be waking up to minus side, but high temperatures should climb near 10 degrees Celsius in the central region and about 13 degrees Celsius down south. So the first day of the work week of December will be warm over much of the country today. But due to somewhat mild temperatures, it caused some of the patches of fog in inland regions. So please drive with extra caution on the roads for your Monday morning commute. But that fog should burn off quickly after the sunrise, and clouds will give way to full sun, so we'll get to enjoy plenty of sunshine today. So that means we won't have to shiver that much, but still be sure to dress in layers not to get sick and stay warm. And good news is, though, it looks like the milder weather may last a bit, so enjoy warm stretches while it's here, because a colder weather pattern should move in later this week, and there might be another band of snow on Friday nationwide, but chances are slim. But also I'll be sure to give you updates on that later on my weather report. But now here are the readings for today. Morning low in Seoul and Daegu is starting out at 0, but afternoon highs will peak to 9 and 11 respectively, and Gwangju will have sub-zero morning but climb into 10, and Busan will see a high of 13 under lots of sunshine. Now let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like Jeju will only soar to 13 in the afternoon. Daejeon will also have double-digit afternoon highs at 10 and 11 for Dokdo, while Mount Kumgang stays in the cold side all day long. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all for me at this hour. Enjoy your Monday morning commute and hope you have a wonderful day. And don't forget to join me again for another updates and news.
Well, those are the stories we are following at this hour. Stay tuned to Arirang for more stories making headlines in Korea and around the world. Thank you for watching.